bad about it, but
yeah,
just kidding.
Hey, Cody.
Hey, what's up, Dave?
Something that I want to like just bring into the room right off the bat is the awareness that we are like on a camera, and it's weird because it's like it's a conversation between me and you, but it's something that I know that other people are gonna be watching, and so it's like I'm talking to you, but I know there's people watching, so it's like it's a strange experience to have a conversation that I know that Rob is in the other room listening to us, and maybe we'll walk through.
That's the scariest part of it all.
I know, he's in there judging and just listening to YouTube videos and watching Instagram.
I'm going to pretend like the camera's not even there.
Yeah.
Hopefully we get my good side. Yeah, it is, but it is a strange, I don't think I've ever really done it. So
yeah.
Last time we did this at the old house, it was just recording, right?
Yeah, it was just audio, and I drank
12 beers.
I had at least a bottle of wine. Yeah, y'all were about to leave. I think you left the next morning. You're going to Thailand with Keenan and Rob.
Oh, nice. I went to Australia first, so I think I was leaving. Was it really like that? Yeah.
You were leaving the next morning because we got pretty drunk, and then I was like, I've got a gift for you, and I gave you that book. I was like,
oh yeah,
share this with somebody.
The
boy, the horse, the fox, and the hedgehog or something.
I read it, and just so you know, I paid it forward and met a really cool guy at a hostel. I was like, hey, you should read this book.
I love it. That's what I was hoping for.
Yeah.
Well, welcome to Dave's One Day Closer podcast.
Thanks, man. I love the name.
Thanks, dude.
I love you.
I mean, you have the logo tattooed on you.
That's true.
My logo is your tattoo.
Yeah.
Maybe that's actually a good place to start off, because I think for those of you watching, Cody eventually came to me, probably 2 or 3 years into me tattooing. You're like, all right, man, I'm ready. And I was like, I fucking did it. I made it. Cody wants a tattoo because I know you are a collector of tattoos, and you've got a bunch of beautiful work. And so I was honored when you wanted to get tattooed by me.
Yeah, man, that was exciting, and it's a great tattoo.
Yeah, which is
I would show everyone, but you might get a little bat wing.
But yeah, the rather than One Day Closer, like in the logo, yours says Infinite Goof, and that's based on a Tom Robbins quote. And I was hoping that you would read that for us, because I'd love to talk about that.
I wrote it down the other day and then went down a whole new rabbit hole, but yeah, this is from Tom Robbins, Another Roadside Attraction, which Chops is actually reading right now.
Okay,
which is cool. But yeah, this is here's the quote. If our style is masterful, if it is fluid and at the same time complete, then we can recreate ourselves, or rather, we can recreate the infinite goof within us. We can live on top of content, float above the predictable responses, social programming, and hereditary circuitry, letting the bits of color and electricity and light filter up to us, where we may incorporate them at will into our actions. That's what the voices said. They said that content is what a man harbors but does not parade, and I love a parade.
I love that. I mean, I think you read that to me maybe even before we ever did the tattoo, and it continues to resonate in the nature of like overcoming the hereditary circuitry of like moving past the things that we've inherited by our families and creating our own aesthetic, our own way of being in the world. And
I think so. I read that when me, Frank, and Keenan were in Vietnam, and I was reading a book on the beach, and I read that line, and I just kept reading it over and over again. And I think I just was I think it's beautiful, like through and through, but also it's like kind of like, it's very like humorously beautiful. Like it's so thick, but also like infinite goof. Like I just couldn't get over those two words together.
Mm-hmm.
And so like, it's like uh, like rather than recreate ourselves, or it says like recreate ourselves, or rather we can recreate the infinite goof within us. We can live on top of content, float above the predictable responses, social programming, and hereditary circuitry, letting the bits of color and electricity and light filter up to us, where we may incorporate them at will into our actions. It's like super thick, but also it's just like infinite goof. Like why, why did he use those words, and why did I just like couldn't get over it forever.
Yeah.
I think it just hit home for me, but also it's like it's funny.
What would you say are some ways that you embodied that energy of uncovering your own infinite goof since reading that? Like, yeah.
Yeah, so well, I guess like the idea of um our style being masterful. Like I thought style was an interesting word choice there too. Like, your style is like your life technique, like how you flow through life. And uh so I like that. I like that part too. And then like the infinite goof, I don't know. I think I struggle a lot with I don't know. I have some I mean quite daily anxiety, at least pretty strong a couple times a day, but like also times of like just sadness and depression, or just living going days at a time, quite literally in my head. Um, I think that the thing that always brings me out of it is like just being goofy
Mm-hmm.
and like humor. And because I think it like makes you to like say a goofy line or to be goofy with someone, it is just like a way to be fully in the present.
Mm-hmm.
Like even like cracking jokes when we first got here, like I don't know, it makes me feel more comfortable. And so I think that like that word is just was so interesting to me, because I was like being goofy, like goofy Cody is how I like get out of that kind of stagnant Cody.
Mm-hmm.
So like, and then and this is like a little bit thicker of like recreating ourselves, recreating the infinite goof within. um I think that for me it just I think life can just be a lot more simpler, and I think a lot of life is really just fucking funny,
Mm-hmm.
even when it's really shitty.
Mm-hmm.
If you can laugh at it,
Yeah.
you can move through it quicker.
Yeah.
But if you want to hold on to it and make it this serious, yeah, sometimes things are serious, but like it's like the Mark Twain has a quote like many worries, or like was it? I've had like many worries in my lifetime, um, or I'm an old man now. Many fears I've had, but like very little have come true. There's a way better he writes it, but it's like we create so much shit in our heads, and even like something like I got pissed off. Like, it's 10 a.m. and I already got pissed off at someone driving this morning, and like had a rage mode inside of me. Then I literally just started laughing. I was like, "That's so stupid." So I guess. I don't know. I think to like get back to it, like the idea of the infinite goof is just I care a lot about things. I love strongly. I'm like passionate about life and people.
Yeah.
But sometimes I hold things way too tightly, and the infinite goof is to just like let it be and let it flow through you. And that's like what I need to keep like continually practice, but that's kind of what that meant to me, I guess, in the moment.
Yeah. Yeah. Something that I've said talked about in the last couple of podcasts is this idea that like expression is medicine for this world, for me.
Yeah.
And I think for a lot of people. And it sounds like embodying that infinite goof and the silliness and the lightheartedness is a medicine for you. And it's something that pulls you out of times when you're like caught up in your head and like holding super tightly to something that you're like, the fuck am I doing? And as you're talking about that, something that came up is like you went to Burning Man this last year. And I remember watching from afar and seeing the media accounts of like, it's a nightmare, everybody's stuck in the mud. And I'm curious, like, I know that from what I understand, Burning Man is like a challenging experience in general for people surviving in the desert. So I would love to hear maybe an anecdote or a little story from being there and like getting just poured on in rain and you guys are covered in mud. Like everything must have been wet. Like how did you navigate that?
It was really tough. Like it's interesting. It was very interesting getting back and like people talking to me like I literally got back from war. It wasn't like that, but like my mom thought I died. Like
because there was no signal too. You guys were.
I got Wi-Fi and finally like got into like my family has a group text, and my mom. I mean, she like truly thought I was like somehow like hospitalized or dead. And I was like, yo, I'm like literally just chilling in my tent right now. Like, like everything is okay. But I mean, it was bad. It was bad in the sense of like, but I think like the infinite goof of it is like, I was really, so honestly, me and Al, it started raining and me and Al were like, all right, this is some time at Burning Man to cash in on some sleep. Like the pitter patter on the tent, like, and it's wet, it's raining outside. So I was like, let's go to sleep. We slept, we would wake up, still raining. And I'd be like, all right, let's like, I'm just going to go back to sleep. Also, it was cold, which was insane to go from earlier in the week, 100 degrees, like could not take like so soaking wet with sweat and so hot. And now we were like freezing. And we slept for probably 20 hours. And then finally...
Just straight. You're just like
and then literally came out into just like anywhere you went. Like if you wore boots, like you would take 2 steps and your boots would like you would have a mound of mud around your shoe. And it would probably be like, I don't know, 10 pounds of weight on each foot. And so literally there was no choice. There's no escaping. Like either you just like literally sit in your tent and be a little baby, or like you just are like, all right. But it also made us like, you know, you couldn't ride bikes. So going way out into deep playa and stuff, you could walk out there and plenty of people did, but we just like were circling and got really in touch with like our neighborhood. And then you just see people like, I don't know. I was kind of pissed off for a bit because I was like, we hadn't gone to the temple yet. And I was like, Al, like, we were making all these plans. It was like Thursday. And so I was like, we got 3 days left. We're making these plans of things we wanted to do through the rest of the time there. And then everything just got shit on. And so you either lean into it. This is kind of my new thing. I was like, you either lean into it or you have a shitty time. Like, there's not like if you don't lean into it, then you're just gonna be like, I'm wet and muddy, and then you're just seeing people like just being children again, just playing in the mud, and you seeing some people that are miserable and they're like, what the fuck is happening? And then some people are like, I don't know. And then that's the whole thing, not the whole thing, but like with Burning Man is like, it is never like comfortable out there. And that's kind of like it strips away that like expectation of like I need all my like shit to be right for me to enjoy myself. And so I don't know. It wasn't completely what I wanted out of it. And then once again, that's the point, you know. Fuck your burn.
Fuck your burn, dude.
Like, and we had an amazing time, like amazing time, sitting by a barrel fire. Everyone's like freezing and just like giggling and being like, didn't expect this to happen.
Yeah, and that's I feel like that what you just described is like walking out and seeing some people making that decision to engage in it and lean into it and play as children, and then some people are like, everything's wet.
What am I was that guy for probably about 2 hours.
I think I probably would have been too.
Yeah, it maybe longer than that. Yeah, I was having a hard time, and you're just out there. Yeah, so yeah, it was interesting, and also like that is like. That whole idea of like leaning into it or just having a shitty time, it's like it's honestly kind of helped me out a lot because there's just a lot of times that is like super truthful in things you're doing.
Hey
guys,
hey Rob,
welcome to the podcast. Thanks for coming. Glad you're here.
Rob's pod.
Yeah, I'm thinking about the nature of like that exact experience as a microcosm for life on a larger scale of like things are pretty fucked on many levels. But like, what do we do with that? Well, how do you respond to that? Like, what do you engage your energy in? Am I gonna just sit and look at the news and be like, oh God, or am I gonna get outside and play with my friends? And not to say that there isn't something to be said for people that choose to put their energy into activism or trying to make a significant change. I think there's beauty and there's an important piece of that. But I'm feeling more and more right now the difference that I can make is in my immediate sphere is like being joyful and creating art and connecting with my community. And I think there's magic in that. So on a smaller scale, being able to make a difference. We're still rolling?
What's good, boys?
All right. Rob.
I guess I think that I do struggle with I do like having a certain amount of like control over things. Running the shop, I also like am coming to grips.
You can take it.
With the fact that
love you
guys.
Yeah, love you. Man. Have a good day. But just like recently coming to grips with like that I am a very ADHD person.
What?
And I was like, but I like put it off. I literally used to tell people, I was like, everyone's got ADHD. Like, and then I like struggle with depression in the last couple of years. And you know, Al, who is trained in this stuff, would be like, yeah, those things go hand in hand. Like a lot of ADHD people struggle with depression and struggle with a lot of things that you do. And I want, like, I'll throw a fit over my tool in my shop not being where I always put it. Someone will move it. I'll be like, what the fuck? Where, Keenan? Where is it? Andrew? And I was like, but I'm not that guy. And you do these things and I'm like, I'm not a mean person, but I'm upset that my tool's not there because that's where it always is. And there's things in my life that I want to think my way through them. I want to break them apart, put them back together. And that's how it is. And every time I do that, every time I want this out of Burning Man, I want this out of this show, I want this out of my career, my business, every time it gets completely messed up. And then I can either lean into it or just be pissed off and sad. And it's like, and that's just like, it's willful suffering, but it's like, I don't know. I think like Alan Watts had this thing where like this whole like analogy of like he did it way better, obviously, but like when you try to hold things tightly, they always slip through your fingers. And the like idea was like, you have to let things float. Like the way things go is a flow. And if you try to like hold on to that and like dam it up, then you're just like, you're going to get fucking blown up. So I guess, as I digress, the whole idea of like, for me and the infinite Goof is like, I brought that, but the reason I like it so much is that I needed to know that every single day I wake up is to like tap into that, because I can't like, I'm trying not to hold too tightly to things anymore and let like things be, and also like lean into the things like I was having breakfast this morning, and the guy like making the bacon was just like, Asheville sucks. And like, someone said something like, I got like something happened to me. He's like, dude, Asheville sucks now. And I was like, all right, man, you probably suck. Like, I don't know. Like,
bacon rips.
Yeah. It's like, I don't know. It's like, I had a really great, like, I literally was in a room last night with like 300 of amazing, like, I could not stop talking because of how many beautiful people live here. I was like, well, I guess it's, you know, you either lean into it, you have a shitty time. It's just, that's been my new little mantra.
I like it. Yeah, I like that. I wanted to read a little passage from The Creative Act, A Way of Being by Rick Rubin. You actually recommended this book for me.
Hell yeah.
And then Rob bought it for me. I don't think you guys planned on that, but I've been reading it. Like,
really? Without
I had never mentioned it. He bought this for me just randomly. So
yeah.
I've been reading like a chapter or two every night because it's like, you know, it's broken down in such a, it's like almost poetic. It's like Zen.
It's like quick chapters. Heavy. It's like
jam-packed.
Yeah. It's heavy for your mind to kind of. It's good to read it slow.
Yeah. So this chapter is 24/7, staying in it. The artist's job is never truly finished. In many occupations, when we go home, we leave our work behind at the office. The artist is always on call. Even after we get up from hours engaged in our craft, the clock is still running. This is because the artist's job is of two kinds: the work of doing and the work of being. Creativity is something you are, not something you do. It's a way of moving through the world every minute, every day. If you're not driven to an unrealistic standard of dedication, it may not be the path for you. So much of the artist's work is about balance, so it's ironic that this way of life leaves little room for it. Once you acquiesce to the demands of the creative life, it becomes a part of you. Even in the midst of a project, you still look for new ideas each day. At any moment, you're prepared to stop what you're doing to make a note or a drawing or capture a fleeting thought. It becomes second nature, and we're always in it, every hour of the day. Staying in it means a commitment to remain open to what's around you, paying attention and listening, looking for connections and relationships in the outside world, searching for beauty, seeking stories, noticing what you find interesting, what makes you lean forward. And knowing all of this is available to use next time you sit down to work, where the raw data gets put into form. There is no telling where the next great story, painting, recipe, or business idea is going to come from. Just as a surfer can't control the waves, artists are at the mercy of the creative rhythms of nature. This is why it's of such great importance to remain aware and present at all times, watching and waiting. Your thoughts?
Well, I think he's right.
This guy knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, Rick Rubin definitely figured out that recipe. No, I think hearing it and putting myself into it, like with building the camper vans, I've had a really hard time separating. I'm just all like, if I'm going to build, I'm just thinking about it quite 24/7 about different ways I could do stuff, or different tones, or how the cabinets can be different, or the best way for things. It's hard for artists to hang up the phone on that like way of thinking sometimes. Mm-hmm. But also what I think, like, that's cool, but also he also is talking about like the infinite presence of it too. So there's like what does he say? Like, there's like, you need balance, but an artist has a hard time finding balance. Totally. So like, I got burnt out quite bad last year from, what from the outside looks good is just like a lot of jobs, but I didn't have a ton of time thinking, like, I had a hard time being like present with new things to happen for me, mm-hmm. Or new stories, or
you got some blood on your nose, dude.
What is that, buddy?
World? No.
What is it?
He's got some blood on his nose. I'm gonna wipe that off real quick.
Zephyr
got some bloody slobber.
Zephyr,
you might want to come up on the couch with us. Zephyr, you want to be on the podcast? Come on. Up.
Yeah, big boy.
Just got to make enough room for me, buddy. Okay.
Oh,
Everyone, this is
giant.
Zephyr. This
He's
is
so cute.
my partner's Newfoundland. You want to say hello? Ooh.
Big boy.
A little bit of blood. Where'd you get that from? So we got distracted. You were saying,
So I got kind of caught up in that. Like, I guess to refer back to the lines, like, it's hard to hang it up in your mind if you're like creative or thinking about building things, or, you know, a design for a tattoo, whatever. It's hard to hang it up sometimes, but also you have to allow for new inspirations to come through.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you're just like, how can I build the coolest van all the time?
Yeah.
Well, then I miss out on like a lot of other, you know, things that, and then you start like, you know, hating what you're doing.
Yeah.
And then like in the end there, I guess the idea that artists can let that flow and also be like thinking on that all the time, but also like can take a walk and be fully present with what's going on around them.
Yeah.
And let those things kind of, you know,
so
filter through.
I got two questions following that up. One is, how do you, what do you do to like take a step away? Like, what is a good way for you to like take a break? How do you defragment your brain?
Yeah, I honestly I'm pretty shitty at, but I'm working on it.
Yeah.
So, the number one thing I have found, and this is going to sound very Joe Rogan of me, bless my heart.
Cold plunge.
Yeah, no. You gotta be a fucking monkey. No, you gotta, like, honestly, for me, if I get my heart rate up and do some sort of strenuous exercise, even if I don't want to do shit and I go sit in the sauna for a bit, still get a sweat on and get my heart rate up. But like, if I do a vigorous exercise like 3-2-1, or just go to the gym and do some lifting and like try to bust out 2 miles on a treadmill or something, if my body gets that, like, it truly, it like, and even when like I was having a hard time mentally last year, I got put on a couple, I tried a couple SRIs. I think that's right.
SSRI.
Yeah.
Social Security.
No, yeah. Didn't get that yet. But I was like very adverse to them at first, and then one of them like was quite nice for me, and then I just kind of started exercising and stopped taking them. And the exercise, which I heard on a podcast recently that there's like actual data on or studies on this, but like the exercise completely did a similar thing, or did it better, as far as completely like resetting my like mind and like anxiety, the shit I go into the gym thinking about that makes me feel real bad. When I leave, it's not on my mind. And yeah, it like annoys me that it's that kind of sometimes, but it literally is. Like when I'm exercising, I mean, not even that, like a half hour a day, it's the only thing I've found that really resets that, like my mind. But also, like, if you're thinking of like an artist like standpoint, it's like, I mean, even a cold shower, like some sort of like physical like shake of the body, I just think like helps you tap out and then be present again.
Yeah.
There's nothing else I've found better.
That's a reset.
Yeah.
I think I remember reading a while back or listening to a podcast, whatever, but it has something to do with like the nature of the way that our minds kind of, when we catch on to, say, a negative thought, if we kind of like engage in that thought, then it's going to activate more, and then you end up kind of swirling.
Yeah.
And if you can interrupt that thought pattern through something like exercise or going outside and jumping up and down, or like whatever it is. If you can interrupt that thought pattern, I think it only takes like 30 seconds to break that cycle of getting into the swirl of things. And so, yeah, if I can catch myself in that, and I mean, that's like kind of the nature of meditation, is like the recognition of like, oh, I'm thinking again. I'm engaging in a thought. Okay. All right. Come back to my breath and just practicing, allowing it to like release instead of like, oh fuck, I really need to prepare for this tattoo today. Oh my God. Like I need to work on the design. Oh God, I have other designs I need to work on. Oh shit, did I pay that bill? And then it just kind of like, and it builds and builds and then before I know it, I'm like, I don't have enough time in the day.
I know. And then you like end up literally not accomplishing any of those things.
Yeah.
'Cause and also one thing, it doesn't seem to take too long. One thing I haven't done yet. But I just have a feeling it works because I listen to, since I'm coming to grips with my ADHD at 31 years old, I was like, I'm going to find an Andrew Huberman podcast about ADHD. Yeah. He's our guy, and super good podcast. But one thing he was saying, of like a hack of like, if you're just scramble brained and like either you're cycling in bad thoughts or you're just like, you're trying to do 100 things so you're not doing anything.
Yeah.
Is to sit like 10 to 15 minutes, and it's practically meditation, but he wants to separate that because like some people have a very distinct thought of what that looks like, but pretty much sitting with yourself and kind of like feeling your blood flow and your heart beating and like getting super inward with how your body is functioning, your hands, your fingers, your legs, like getting super into your physical body and just spending time like thinking about all that, and then going to do the task that you have to draw a design or something. And I haven't done it, but I bet it works.
It sounds nice.
Yeah, it's like I think it's gonna be like good for me because it makes sense. You go inward instead of just going outward everywhere, but you actually like take time to like be at peace with your body. Then you're like, okay, this is what I'm gonna do.
What's the next thing? Yeah. Second question is so you spend a lot of your creative energy on your work, the outfitting vans and converting vans. Where are you enjoying pouring your energy, creative energy, exploring, expressing yourself in other ways right now?
In other ways, so I've been slowing some things down with the business to kind of allow myself to do that more. I had the one and only Danny Knowles over at my house, along with Queen Kelly Applegate, and but Danny Knowles gave me some really nice guitar and piano, little 101s to kind of get me rolling on like just practicing. I'm looking forward to kind of like opening that doorway a little bit more. I've just been really feeling more called to, I just really enjoy words, proper words and different words. And I've kind of been feeling like I started journaling a little bit a while ago, of course, fell off. I could never be the journaler that you or Matthew McConaughey are, but I'm aspiring.
I mean, you said you've been journaling since you were like 18.
What's that? Yeah, but it'll be like a journal every 5 years. You know, I have stuff, or it'll be like every journal. I have like 7 journals, and they're all about a third of the way filled out, and then it'll just be like a fall off for 2 years and then come back. But like, it really is. It is nice to like get words out. And then I'm kind of in this space where the music thing, I'm kind of in the space where I'm kind of writing, like thinking every day about new ways I want to spend that creative energy. and I haven't like quite figured out where I want to put like all the time and energy into it.
Yeah.
I'm kind of like dabbling. I feel like I'm in a dabbling space, and then something's gonna hit, and I'm just gonna be like, I'm gonna go full on in that.
I mean, he talks about that in the book, in the stages of creativity. You get the seeds, are like, you get to just sow seeds and like, figure out what might start to grow. And then you're like, ooh, this is fun. And you're just experimenting and playing around. And like, at some point something will click and you're like, wow, this is really flourishing. I'm enjoying this a lot. I'm getting a lot of fulfillment out of that. Have you ever, rather than, because I hear you're saying that you've had a hard time sticking to the writing practice, but you enjoy words. Have you ever thought about doing just like an audio journal?
Dude, so it was like in the fall, I was listening to a podcast. This sounds so like, it just sounds so stupid to me, but like I found out that people write books that way.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, I was like, I didn't know you could do that. Like, I know you could do that, but I'm like, that would be way better for me.
Well, if your mind is moving faster than your hand is able to write, then you're able to capture a lot more through just spoken word. Yeah,
and I'm like a little bit better. I think with the writing, I'm like, is my penmanship good? Is that you see the word on the paper and you're like, no. And like, do I want to do cursive or print? Like, I like literally think like I'm like thinking too much about it. Whereas talking, I'm like, I didn't think about shit. And I'm just like, it's just like word vomit, like what's in my head.
Yeah.
Not all the time, but like for times where I think that would be good for me. I appreciate you like bringing that up again, because I think it would be cool.
That's a piece. So I mentioned this in my first podcast, but something that I'm excited about doing, I've been wrapping my brain around it for several months now, is getting into creative expression coaching as an expression doula, like working with people to help them birth their expression in the world. And one of the pieces that I want to build into working with clients is having some type of daily journaling practice, whether it be writing, video, or audio. Yeah. Find some way to get that word vomit out, because the same thing happens in journaling. Yeah. Like you can literally just write pages, and then a nugget fucking pops out. You get a little golden nugget. Yeah. And they're like, oh, I didn't know that was in there. And I think the same thing can happen if you're just talking. It might feel like word vomit, but as you're doing that, you're moving that energy out of you, and like you're clearing it out because it's just been in there swirling. And so you're clearing it out, clearing it out. And then something fucking really good comes out. And you're like, whoa, I didn't know that was in there, but you got to dig it out, dude. You got to excavate it.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
But I think the daily practice, making time for 10 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever it is, to just like hit record, get it out, and see what happens.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, it makes sense, because also it's also like good. It's just you're practicing. You're practicing.
You're flexing the muscle. You're exercising the muscle of expression, of like taking it out of your head, out of your heart, out of your guts, and you're bringing it into the world. And there's magic in that. I like that. For sure. First there was the word, right? And the Bible is like that's we have to bring it out of the infinite potentiality of our mind and the ether, and bring it through us. And by doing so, we make it into reality. Yeah. And so there's power.
It's so important.
Yeah. And I think there's incredible power in like goal setting, writing stuff down. You told me last night at the show that you dug up some journals from when you were like 18, and one of your goals when you were like 17 or 18 was go to Burning Man.
Yeah.
And you fucking went to Burning Man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and
that long ago.
Years ago, I read a Tony Robbins book, and part of that was like tons of writing exercises, but one of them was like just out of this world, like shoot for the moon fucking goals. Yeah. And one of them was to give a TED Talk. Nice. And then a couple of years later, I'm working at Trader Joe's, and a girl comes through my line. I'm like, how's it going? She's like, I'm just stressed out. I'm working for the TEDx committee for this UNCA thing. I was like, oh, cool. How do I get a ticket? She's like, I can get you a ticket. So I went and saw it. And then I saw her a couple of weeks later. She was like, how was it? I was like, that was awesome. How do I do one? She's like, oh, you just have to apply. And I was like, all right. And then I did a TEDx talk. Yeah, so it's like,
awesome.
I think it
was great too.
It was such a fucking cool experience. Yeah. I'm so proud of that. But I think there's incredible power in writing down things, even if they feel outlandish or impossible. Like by writing it down, saying, I want to do this, it's planted in your mind so that when a conversation happens or you see something that's like, oh shit, there's a doorway.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't otherwise recognize it. If you had,
It's a good point. Yeah. It's almost like, you know, if you're driving and you have like you're like, man, that's something I'd really love to do, or that's a really like interesting thought or whatever. And then you just keep driving. That's gone forever. Like that, like, you know, but also it's like, obviously you're not going to get all those things, but yeah, if you're writing or recording or something, if you're orally saying it, writing it down, are you stamping it a little bit thicker in your head, but also it has a place to live now, that you can like revert back to. Yeah.
There's this great quote from a poet. I don't know who it is, and I'm going to paraphrase here, but this idea that a new idea is like this majestic flaming tiger galloping across the desert, and they blow through the front door of your house, and they just crash through your house. And as a creative, it's our choice to let it fly through, blow through the back door and out into the fucking thing, and be like, I'm going to write about that later, or grab its tail and ride that motherfucker out.
Hell yeah.
And so when the idea strikes, it's like, if you have some way of documenting that right then and there, even a little snippet, then it plants that seed like Rick Rubin's talking about. And you can come back to that later and water it and see what happens.
Yeah, for sure. Also, yeah, you can come back to it, and also, yeah, you can see if it's worth putting energy into or not, or, you know, putting a little bit and seeing what happens, watering it like you said. Yeah, I think I'm going to start doing the oral recording things. I think that would honestly be better for me at this point.
And even as someone that's beginning to play guitar or piano, like you never even know. It might not even be words. It might just be a melody. You're just like thinking of like you got something in your head, and you can just like record that and come back to it. And,
yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, just be curious. Would be my invitation. Do whatever the fuck you want.
I'm gonna be curious. I'm gonna be curious AF. Yeah, no, I like that.
Yeah. I got another question for you that I've been wanting to ask. So you found yourself into this current state of work where you're building bands, and you're like incredibly capable of like building stuff. And I'm curious about what forms of creativity you were attracted to as a little kid. What did you do a lot? What could you do for hours and hours uninterrupted? Like your parents are like, all right, we have to go cook dinner. We have to do this. Like, let's give Cody this thing. Like, what would you engage in?
So that's a cool question. There's a story that I'll leave with, a story that my mom would tell me. I guess apparently I was a very high energy child.
That's shocking.
Which is insane to me because I'm so low key. But but my mom liked to get me. So father was a pastor. We lived in the parsonage, which parsonage is house like directly like on church property.
Yeah.
So it was like my house, and then there's a driveway and the church. So the church was like 100 yards from my house, and my dad would be in there, doing his pastor thing. And my mom would write a letter to my dad and have me deliver it to him. And she would watch me out the window, and I would like walk out the door, climb a tree, go down. I would like throw a ball against the brick wall for a while, and then like meander around, and then like kick a soccer ball a few times, and then go in and deliver it. And then my dad would write a note and send it back to my mom, and then like that would just cycle over and over again, where I would just be like,
oh my God.
Do, and then, but I would always deliver the message.
Yeah.
But I would just be like, that's cool, like let's go do that. And I guess it makes sense why I'm finally diagnosed with ADHD.
Yeah. You're engaging really fully in life and reality, and you're curious. You're curious about what happens if I do this. What does this look like? What does this feel like? You're like fully engaged in life.
Yeah, and so to get to your, like, the question is, and sometimes it makes me sad because I feel like we're the last kids that really played, like our generation. I know kids play now, but it's just different. Like I was a kid that, like, I woke up and I went outside and we had like a quarter pipe and rails, and I would like build skate ramps.
Hmm.
I would skate, and then I would play, like, I would just make up games. We had this, like, my dad would shoot his bow, and so there's like this fake deer target in our yard,
Hmm.
and this is actually a thing now, and I am not going to sue them for being the original inventor, but I should, because I came up with this at like 12 years old.
Yeah.
But I called it soccer golf, and we had like a bunch of property, and me and my little brother or neighbor kid or whatever, we would take a soccer ball, like, 10 acres back, and you had to get it through the deer's legs in the least amount of kicks.
Okay. Oh, okay. Cool.
And that was my existence as a kid, was just literally just making up games, like snow days. Like, were just like, if I think of what heaven was as a kid, it was a snow day for me. Like, I would suit up, I'd be outside all day building forts, throwing snowballs, trying to like snowboard or sled, or like make a little kicker so I could like go as fast as I can on the sled and like get some air or something.
Man, I remember just busting my ass just so hard as a kid and just popping right back up and just like,
it's
that was
amazing.
so great. We're like fully insulated in our snowsuits and it just,
Yeah, it was amazing. Like, you could literally like destroy yourself and just be laughing. Like,
yeah.
But yeah, that was my existence as a kid, was like, we made a whole game down in our basement called Basement Baseball. And I put like we had a green ping pong table that would fold up. I put it in the left corner as the green monster, like from Fenway.
Okay, yeah.
And if you got it over that, it was an automatic
Homer.
2-run home run.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, that was like, we just like a lot of sports involved, a lot of movement, but also like we would just make up games. We make up our own putt courses, or like we were just like, I think we were just creating different games. I would like build snow forts and like little kicker skate ramps and stuff. But a lot of it was just like playing.
I just had an idea for next Love Burn is doing a little putt course.
Gavin, the artist in town.
Yeah.
He did a like crazy artist putt course at Burning Man.
Cool. Okay.
I didn't make it.
Yeah.
But it looked awesome. Yeah, it looked really cool. But that would be fun.
Yeah. That's cool. Well, I mean, it sounds like you still are engaging in elements that you loved as a kid, of the building things and the playfulness, and like, yeah, I would love to organize like a game day where we just make up some silly games for our friends, and like we'll go out to the farm and we'll have a little game day potluck.
That'd be sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can play some can jam and shit, but it is fun to just like make stuff up.
Yeah.
And then also like I just like miss the days of like capture the flag with the neighbors and like neighbor kids and stuff.
Yeah.
Like that shit went so hard. Like, it was just so fun to me. Like, I still, like, me thinking about it right now, I'm like, I would love to do that right now.
Let's go.
Like neighborhood wide capture the flag. I don't know. It's just I love thinking about those things.
Yeah, I mean, the one of the beautiful things of the community that we have here in Asheville is like our friends are so silly and down for just like playfulness, and would be so down to do that. Yeah. And all it takes is a little bit of startup energy from a couple people, and then we can organize something and do it. And yeah,
capture the flag with live DJ set. And lasers.
I love it.
Yeah. Jack Friday's just playing like a DJ set while we're just like playing capture the flag,
chasing each other around.
Or it would be cool if we were like playing like Beersby, like backyard games.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I like playing. I just really like games.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people do. Some people just don't remember that they do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah. It depends on the game. Like some of us are a little bit more athletically inclined.
True.
Some kids not so much. They're all left feet.
Yeah.
All right, I got one more question that I wanted to bring to this podcast, taking a little bit more seriously. So this podcast is about love, death, creativity, and everything in between. We talked about, I think, love of playing and your creativity. I'm curious about, your relationship to the concept of death, like early experiences with death. What's one of your earliest memories of death, whether it's a loved one or a pet or?
Ooh, so, I've always had a really hard time. I've been very fortunate to where I haven't had a lot of close people to me pass. But I think that like even if someone like in our church growing up, like even an older person that I didn't even know that well or something, I've always had a hard time like with the concept of it, of the idea of like they're gone, like people are gone. I think when I was younger, I had a hard time seeing the beauty in it. We lost some dogs. That was always tough. I literally was at Resonance about to go to main stage, and my dad called me and said, we put our dog Scout down. And I was like, huh? What? Like, yeah, I was like, my mind was very up here, and I was like, what? Bad timing. But yeah, I guess when I think about one thing that always like, it feels weird, but like when Mac Miller died, it was like the first like famous person that I kind of had like, I felt like I had an attachment to, that I was just, obviously it was extremely tragic. Fucking fentanyl again. I think that I saw myself in him a lot, the way his creativity was, the way he was super goofy and just wanted to have fun. He just seemed like he had a really big heart for people. And also he loved to laugh and be goofy. And also like, the first memories of like smoking weed was like listening to Kool-Aid and Frozen Pizza, his like mixtape. And I don't know, I like when he passed, I like went home and like put on his recent album, which is like just amazing. Like he had just come out with, and I cried and I just kept crying. And I was like, I never even met this person. Like why? And I think that with him, I was just like, I just think he had so much more to give. And that's always my biggest fear is just going with more to give. I'd really like to go with being like,
fucking did it.
Yeah, owned that shit.
Yeah.
Like, and so that I think that's when I think about death. Like, that's the scariest thing. Is like, I just feel like I have a lot more to give.
Yeah.
And so when I think about that, I think that's like the biggest fear of all is like, if I went away tomorrow, like what a waste. Like
unfinished business.
Yeah, unfinished business. Not a waste, I guess, but yeah, unfinished business.
Yeah.
And then I also think I mean it's just I think death is also like a really beautiful concept in the set. Well, it's a real thing, it's not a concept. But like I think there's more beauty in it than I've realized, in the sense of like honestly, Al the other day asked me like, what do you actually believe happens when you die? And it was kind of fun to actually think about it again. And really, I just think of like a bunch of different ideas. Like there's who knows? Yeah. I think we're all going to be okay. But maybe there is certain like soul, like Al will be like, I'm a soul level 9. And she says, I'm a soul level 7. And it always bothers me.
Lower is better, right?
No, higher is better. But I'm like, soul level 9. She's like, do you think you're going to come back as something? Like, what are you going to come back as? And I was like, I don't know. Part of me was having fun thinking about us like going into like this infinite, like, you know, this heavenly space of like where there is no like, you know, where our souls can kind of just like hang out and like not experience like suffering and whatnot.
It's just a big
And
like
then,
festival burn.
yeah,
for souls.
but like we're all like doing just fine. Like we're all like having a good time, just like giggling around. And then like something happens. Honestly, it's like that one movie, but like something happens and you're like, I think it's time to go back now.
Yeah.
And then you choose to come back to suffer almost like you, because you're like, I think that I can like soul level 10 this shit.
Yeah.
But also I don't care about, I don't know. I guess as I digress, I think my thoughts on death, I think I have a more poetic view of it than I used to. And also, I still really have a hard time with thinking about me going or someone going too soon.
So yeah, what is, and maybe I don't know how much you thought about this, but what would be some, for lack of a better word, business that you'd be really sad to leave unfinished that you could be working on, putting energy into?
That's a tough question.
Yeah.
It's a really tough question.
And you don't need to
know
the answer,
question.
But it's something to explore, because it's like if you have this idea that like I don't want to leave something behind, and you feel like you would, if you were to die today, you are leaving something behind. Like, to explore that, like what is it that I don't want to leave behind, and begin working on it.
Yeah, I think in that realm, well, I do really want to have kids. I don't really want to have them right now. And I don't really want to work on having them right now.
Yeah.
Well, I'll work on it, but don't want to have them. But like,
you're just practicing.
Yeah. Swinging away. But that is something that like I would like just be really pissed off if I left without having some flesh and blood here.
Yeah.
But like in a more like in a more sense of like personal like life goal thing. I think that I've just always felt like there's something in me that like I always want to get out, but never, or there's like with my journey from like growing up, you know, very religious, and how I like kind of worked through that to kind of have a better, more peaceful view on everything and find more inner peace. And then you get older and I like get out of whack with like just adult responsibilities and not feeling fulfilled, and depression happens, anxiety happens. I always have this thing in me where like, I just want everyone to know like that they're capable and that they're loved and that they're like, and that there's something really special about us all. And most of us, but like, I don't know. I guess there's like something in me that wants, and I kind of have a heart for people that grew up in the realm I grew up in, and just, I don't know if it's a book, I don't know if it's a podcast eventually, I don't know if it's kind of like, an organization that kind of helps people. I really love meaningful conversation, and I don't think it happens enough. And I think that when people have meaningful conversation now, they're always trying to be finite and like someone has to be right.
I disagree.
What's that? Oh yeah, exactly. And I'm like, it just is just missing the whole point of like the human existence. Yeah. Like the diversity unifies us. Like everything about us, like people being different, and like should all be in a room being like talked about and edified. And so I always just feel this like, and whether it is me like having children and instilling that in them, that might be it. but there is always something in me that wants to get that message out. And also this idea of like a mantra thing that I read that I just still to this day have never gotten over is just like, it's like, I think it's a Chinese proverb, just a small little proverb, but it's tend to the garden you can touch.
Mm-hmm.
And I was reading my old journal, and like in the journal was like, I'm going to change the world. And when I was a kid, it was like, I need to come up with this business that
grandiose,
feeds millions of people. And this like, and then you get older and you feel smaller and smaller and smaller. And then when I read that, I just like couldn't get over it, because I was like, how do I tend to the garden you can touch? Take care of the people around you, the community around you, dig into that, eat the food from soil close to you. Like, you can put it into like so many things, but I truly think that if everyone cared about the people and the things within 30 square miles of themselves, instead of things that are quite literally out of yes, I like understand, like I want ceasefire too. I pray for these things too. But like when it comes down to it, if your neighbor knows that they can count on you, if your friends know that, if your family knows that, and if you can smile at people when at a gas station, like, I don't know, there's like so many little things that you can do to people around your community and like around that you are touching every day.
Yeah.
I think if everyone did that, like, that would change the world. Like that would be the closest we could ever get to world peace.
Well, it starts with us, man. And,
yeah.
I mean, just like you saying that you want to share those ideas of empowerment and that people are loved and capable. You're doing it right now. People are going to watch this.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Like, so
you too.
Yeah. We're taking a step towards that. And, if we want to see that change, like it's up to us.
I know I guess the idea of like, it just used to be, everything used to be so big.
Yeah.
And now it's like, man, it is a getting older thing, I think, to like really understand it. But man, I can make such a difference quite very easily. I was having like, I don't know, probably a month ago, I woke up and was just like so like strangely mad and sad. Like just like woke up and was like, shitty day. Like just right off jump. And for some reason I was like, I am just going to, I like felt my face just being tight. Like just like, you don't like just walk around with a frown, but I was just like tight faced, not making eye contact. And I literally like just told myself, I was like, you're being a little bitch right now. First of all. Second of all, just start smiling at people. Yeah. Like literally just starts. And so I like was in Lowe's and just like smiling at people. And I like see people look up and then they would smile. Like, yeah. And I'd be like, hey.
Yeah.
And I literally like my mood changed after like 3 smiles. And also I was like, I'm just smiling at people and I'm watching them be like, oh, I'm not alone in Lowe's. Like there's a guy here that's smiling at me. If I like, you know what I mean? Like if you're just like looking, like, can we get some fucking eye contact back? Like dude, everyone's just not even looking at each other.
Yeah.
And I do the same thing, but like, I don't know, just that little switch of just like starting to smile at people sounds so fluffy, but it worked.
I love it.
Yeah, and it was just something I could touch. It was something I was doing. I was going to Lowe's. I was smiling at Judy or whoever was working.
I think that's a good place to wrap this thing up, man. I love that. Do you want to share anything for people to check out? Is there any, like, as they say in the podcast world, you want to plug anything here? Look at the camera, talk, give them, where can they find you?
Yeah. So Instagram, Sunshine Slinger, at Sunshine Slinger, at Sunshine Conversions. I don't really post that much. But, I live in Asheville, North Carolina. My phone number is 810-347-8726. Give me a call if you need anything. Throw me a text. What else? I love you, Mom.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You think your mom will watch this?
What's that? I kind of hope not because I said the F word a couple times.
My mom doesn't like that either.
I know.
She's like, it was a great podcast, but I just wish you wouldn't swear so much.
I know, dude. I literally thought that before I came over, but I was like, yeah, not a ton. But I want to use. I do have one story I want to tell.
Bring it,
This is what I'm going to leave because I'm working on working on tapping into my storyteller, Cody.
I love it. I love
in
it.
like
It's
a way
one
that's
of my
like
favorite
proper.
parts of you.
So, Skunk Brothers. This is what the name of the story is called. Skunk Brothers.
Okay.
The year is 2007.
Okay.
2007. I'm a freshman in high school. My brother Kyle is a senior in high school. My brother Casey would be in 6th grade.
Mm-hmm.
So he's also small Christian school, 6th through 12th. So it's the 1 year that Casey, Cody, and Kyle all in the same school.
Mm-hmm.
Kyle's senior, he's driving. So it's nice for the parents. We're all like we're all driving to school every day together with Kyle. Wake up one morning to just, when you're in high school, I think every morning you wake up just like everything is too early.
Oh yeah.
I wake up to just the worst, woke up out of a dead sleep to a smell, the worst smell I've ever smelled in my life. And I get up and I'm just like deranged. Like, what the hell is going on? And all of a sudden Kyle goes, "Mom!" So Scout, our dog, my mom would send him up and Scout would jump on all of our beds and like wake us up. And then she would come up if we didn't wake up.
Oh God,
he gets it.
That's not you, buddy. You don't smell bad.
And so Kyle's yelling. He's like, "Mom!" Then I'm like yelling, "My mom!" So Scout went outside in the morning, got sprayed by a skunk, comes inside, and like my mom he just runs inside and runs straight upstairs.
Oh my God!
So she hadn't even gotten like what was going on, and so now it was terrible.
It was fresh skunk,
sprayed skunk,
fresh
dog.
out the butt. Yeah.
So bad. And it was like your eyes were hurting. It was so bad. And so we're like, what the hell? Like, got Scout out. They're trying to hose him down or whatever. We get ready. We all shower, get ready, and go to school. And I'm sitting in first hour, and I just hear skunk behind me, and I was like, huh, that's funny. My dog got sprayed by a skunk this morning. And then someone else was like, what is that? And then someone else was like, oh my God. And I was like, oh God. So I go up to Mrs. McGee, Belinda McGee, best algebra teacher in the whole world. I went up to her, she's hard ass, but great teacher. Went up to her and I was like, Mrs. McGee? And she's like, yes, Cody? And I was like, you know the skunk smell? She's like, yeah. And I was like, it's me. And she's like, she looked up at me, was like, and I was like, can I go? And she's like, yeah, go do the office. And I was like, okay. I walk out of my classroom, and Kyle, my big brother, senior, is walking down the hallway and goes, I know, we're leaving. The same thing happened to him. And then Casey comes down the other stairs, and he's like poor Casey's like first year in high school, and he's like, guys, I smell. And we're like, we know, we're leaving. So we go home because we made 3 classes in our school smell like a skunk. And we had to go home and change into new clothes. We change, come back to school, and Well, first of all, we go to get gas on the way back from school, and Kyle spills gas on him. So we have to go back to the house. So now we're like gas skunk people. And we get back to school, and now we're like, I mean, it was like us walking back in, you know, it's a school of like 200 people. Everyone knew we were the Skunk Brothers. We were the guys who made everyone smell skunk that morning, and we go to chapel. We made it back in time, freaking chapel.
Praise the Lord.
Yeah, PTL. And then we go in there, and we're sitting there, and I swear to God, the chapel speaker is giving his youth pastor like dumb analogy about something, and was like trying to be funny, and he goes, "Now everyone, smell the person next to you." The entire school in one room just looked at my brothers and me, and everyone just started pointing and laughing. And the youth pastor goes, "I doubt they smell like a skunk or something." And I was like, "What the fuck is going on? Like, is this like, are they messing with me?" And then, yeah, that's that's the story of the Skunk Brothers. And that's what I'm ending with. I'm working on my storytelling. Hell yeah.
I don't know how much more work you need to do. That was fucking great, man. Thanks for coming on.
That's a good one. Real story.
I fucking love you.
Yeah, I love you too, Dave. Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
this is awesome.
Yeah,
one day closer.
One day closer, baby. That's it. You know,
Love.
If you love it, subscribe, share, you know, all that shit that people say. I don't fucking care. Do what you want to do. Have a good day.
Subscribe. Boop.
I hope that worked. I hope it all recorded. Damn, an hour and 11 minutes, dude.
That's a great time.